Billiken fans, welcome back. It is Zach Miller and Peter Hale. It's the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you all so much for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to comment. Leave a comment, even if, it's just a fleeting moment in the show. You're like, oh, that's weird. Just comment, that's weird. Why not? It helps get our show out to more and more people. And of course, the like and subscribe button don't hurt either, but definitely chime in if you have something to say based on what we talk about, what we're not talking about. If you have a suggestion, drop in the comments. It really does help. It's season 5. And once again, the Midtown Madness Podcast is brought to you by 2 Men in a Garden. We're heading out of March and into April. And that means that May is right around the corner. And Cinco de Mayo too. Don't forget 2 Men in a Garden. This Cinco de Mayo, it pairs perfectly with whatever else you're using to celebrate or eating to celebrate. Margaritas, it pairs great with. It's just the best local salsa, in my opinion. The best part about 2 Men in a Garden, whether you're licking the wounds of a tough defeat or celebrating a big win for your team, 2 Men in a Garden is certainly going to elevate your post-game snacking. Whether you like it mild, medium, or hot, 2 Men in a Garden has you covered with salsa that is sure to please. Look no further than 2 Men in a Garden for fresh, simple ingredients with a ton of flavor. Visit them online at 2meninagarden.com to shop your favorite local flavors and learn more about their Kitchen Hub STL. Check them out on social media at 2 Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter for the latest update. Pete, I can't believe I'm saying this, especially because the Luka Anthony Davis trade is everything that's wrong with the National Basketball Entertainment Association. But I'm officially on the Laker bandwagon.
You are on the Los Angeles Lakers, Zach. Do I have that right?
Yes, the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't know why I'm saying. Did you know that if you go to ESPN, it's the Los Angeles Lakers, but it's the LA Clippers?
Oh, interesting. No, I had not noticed.
I don't know if there's some true branding there, but I thought that was weird.
So what is it that has you on the Lakers bandwagon? Because that's not something I expected to hear out of you.
So have you heard about this guy? You've seen this? You heard about this? You heard about this guy, Jordan Goodwin?
Enlighten me, Zach. No, I'm not familiar.
Jordan Goodwin is the ultimate dog in the NBA.
Yeah.
I think we should let both Lakers Nation and JJ Redick kind of just let them explain who Jordan Goodwin is to them. Why don't you go ahead and give us JJ Redick, because you're the voice of reason on this show, and then I'll give Lakers Nation because I'm the wild card.
So JJ Redick, about the newly signed Jordan Goodwin, had this to say. He said what he likes about him is, quote, just his competitive spirit, his toughness. I joked with him this morning. He can't get soft on us now. He's been a banshee for us ever since he's been with us on the two-way and has provided not just the attitude, the toughness on the court, but he's played some really good basketball for us. We're really confident in him. And you're on mute, Lakers Nation.
I am on mute.
Well done.
I know.
Well done.
Well, now that I'm on Lakers Nation, I've noticed that Lakers Nation have big mouths. So I'm trying to, keep from reaching that echelon of a Laker fan.
Great.
But what praise, right? I mean, This is a guy, again, we're talking about a guy who left SLU. He was not a 3-point shooter even towards the end of his career. We knew he could rebound, undersized, and he has willed himself and improved himself as a basketball player enough, to play through the G League. He's gone through the Washington Wizards organization. He's gone through the Phoenix Suns organization. They kind of said, not for us. He lands with the Lakers, and all of a sudden he's playing with LeBron and Luka, and he's starting games when Luka and LeBron are not in the lineup.
It's amazing. It's amazing, Zach. So what happened here to set this all up? The Lakers converted Goodwin's two-way contract into a standard contract, which makes him eligible for the rest of the season and the playoffs. They cut Cam Reddish, former Duke star, former what was he a like a I mean he was a lottery pick, right? Like how high was he? He I remember him being ranked like number one in his class in high school. I mean, he was a big time player.
Yeah.
They cut Reddish to make space for Goodwin. Goodwin played in 21 games for the Lakers. Like you said, he started five of them. 19.8 minutes per game. He's averaging 6.2 points, 3.7 rebounds.
10th overall by the Atlanta Hawks. He's bounced around since 2022 between the Knicks, Trailblazers, and Lakers. He was a McDonald's All-American,
Okay.
Mr. Pennsylvania basketball. I would say he's an NBA Cup champion, but that's a fugazi ass championship.
So that's the guy that they cut for him, right? Like Reddish was a big star. So and then of course 1.1 steals. His slash line is really what gets me because it's 472 from the field, 420 from three, and 818 from the line. And people forget, you say not much of a three-point shooter at SLU. Zach, he was a 27.1% career three-point shooter at SLU. 27.1%. And yes,
he should have been shooting from 5 feet away or 5 feet further. He should have just backed up.
Exactly. From 30 to 31% was where he left off. His free throw percentage, 58% for his career, right? He peaked his freshman year, and then his senior year was his second best, but his sophomore and junior years were rough. You couldn't put him on the line. So, yeah, this guy was not a shooter, and it's so funny to see the fans calling him a 3-and-D guy. But really, Zach, we know he's there because he's got that dog in him. He's already a fan favorite, and his defense is key because Luka Doncic is just not a great defender. He's kind of a liability at that end. And Redick has kind of acknowledged as much. Like this guy, he gives us some of that dynamism on defense and solidness that they're kind of lacking. When you've got Luka on the court.
And Lakers Nation had a lot to say. They said, while he may not be a very polished offensive threat, Goodwin's a credible three-point shooter who's been willing to let it fly when opposing teams leave him open. However, his best trait might be his nose for the basketball. He always seems to be in the right place to make a play on the floor. My God, if we haven't said that a million times on this podcast,
yeah,
I don't know what else describes Jordan Goodwin.
It's amazing because this is really that best case scenario. We knew his limitations at SLU, right? We were always like the guy's just not a shooter, but he's got that dog in him. He hunts down offensive rebounds. He's the best offensive rebounding guard we've ever seen. He has a nose for the ball. He gets himself in the mix. And what you're seeing now is this play out to the best possible outcome for this player because he's worked on his shot and he has made himself a valuable player in the NBA. I mean, it's incredible to see this happening. And it shows that like there is absolutely no substitute for the work. Like once you get to a certain level, you're going to be done if you aren't going to put in the time. And Goodwin, to his credit, has done that. And here he is bumping a former McDonald's All-American, a former lottery pick from a roster spot because LeBron and Luka want him.
By sheer force of will.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. From players, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I would call Jordan Goodwin being on the Lakers for the postseason run. Extraordinary news, unbelievable news, wonderful news. To more, I don't know. Let's bring it back a little bit to it's portal season, right? I think we both agree as a podcast, the portal sucks.
Yeah.
It's not fun. The people that have fun with the portal are psychos. Not sickos, psychos.
Yeah, they like the drama. They like I mean, a lot of fans are more interested in the GM aspect of sports now than they are in the actual games themselves. I can't say I'm one of them. The portal itself is bittersweet. No matter how much you like it or not, you're going to be losing guys. You're going to be getting guys, and it's just tough. It's tough to deal with. But yeah, Zach,
It's
we've got
annoying.
we knew about Larry Hughes, so we don't really need to cover that one. He was out a while ago, and he's in the portal, and that's fine. But we do have three new entries
Yeah.
this week, and I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts. The first one, Zach, AJ Casey hit the portal on Monday, the first day it opened. I can't say I'm very surprised about this one.
No, I'm not either, and I think it's a decent time. We can get into it once we get through our second one too, but in people have included him in the impactful injuries. And he didn't show much in the brief moments when he played when he was healthy.
Mhm.
And just kind of, I mean, again, like I have no evidence of this other than just vibes. But to me, a guy comes in, sits on the bench, um, felt more of like a package deal with Avila. I don't know. I just never really saw him as I would have liked him as some depth. Obviously, maybe he could have brought it, but like I just didn't see him as much of an impact player.
So the number one is, had he played out the season, maybe we would have seen his value, like we,
Yeah,
we just, we never really got a chance to. Number two is I had some hopes for him, former four-star recruit, right? Comes to, he's out of Chicago area and goes to Miami in the ACC. So you're like, okay, like there's some pedigree here. There's something there. There's a reason, that Miami took a chance on him and everything. And yeah, he didn't play much there. Schertz said he was really in a system that did not suit him well. So let's see what happens. And we just unfortunately never got to.
yeah.
So whether he will amount to anything as really a college player or not remains to be seen. It's a bummer that we never really got to see that, but it's hard to either be upset by this or surprised or disappointed or any of that kind of stuff. We just never really got attached.
Talk about never really getting attached, never really seeing uh, anyone, and I think that describes perfectly again this next one.
Yeah, although this one I did have a little bit higher hopes for because I saw his fit as being a little more important, and that's Josiah Dotzler. He hit the portal on Tuesday. And the thing here from my perspective, Zach, is he had a look to him in those scrimmages and like the preseason that we saw that I don't know, he just looked like a really smooth left-handed guard who kind of had the attributes that we're looking for. He
He
had
was
pretty good
fearless.
size. Yep, fearless, pretty good size, could run the point. Maybe some things that were kind of missing in our lineup this year, and I'm fairly confident he would have been that sixth or seventh guy, and we would have seen a lot of him this season. Even as somebody who didn't play a lot as a freshman at Creighton, I think we would have seen a lot of him this season. Would he have been a starter? Maybe not. I think our starting lineup is kind of, what we saw, I think is kind of what the starting lineup was going to be. But I do think he had a chance to be that kind of the first guy off the bench to really steal some minutes from the other guards. And unfortunately, torn ACL, we just never saw that. Was this one that surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of the talk of the freshman, right?
Mhm.
I mean, they pumped up Amari McCautry quite a bit. I think everybody kind of saw Amari McCautry. He was the standout physically. He was just an imposing figure early. Dotzler, not so much, but again, Shirts included him when he would talk about guys who are going to make an impact, potentially cracking the starting lineup. And it makes me wonder with open playing time that we're going to see this upcoming season. Why is he Bolton? I mean, again, he's married, right? Like again, married. Why he would maybe come? I don't know. Again, that could all be part of the decision, right? But again, curious as to why he's kind of leaving, whether it's a Shirts decision or a Dotzler decision.
That's a really good question. And you just like With the knee, you never quite know. Some people get back and they are 100%. Some aren't, right? Like Perkins was never really 100% of what he was before that knee injury. The season he came back, what ultimately was a disappointing season all around for Slew. But you just don't quite know what he's going to look like when he comes back from that. I don't know. I don't know. It can be a two-way decision or one or the other now, and we don't know what those conversations were. But you do have to feel like there was going to be some opportunity for him, with three guards leaving, two very big time contributors, three starters. And yeah, you had to look at the gaps here and think that there was going to be that opportunity. So open question, one that we'll probably never have a really satisfying answer to. So it's kind of disappointing in that sense because he was one I did kind of have penciled in as somebody who would probably stay.
Next up, the big German went portaling.
Yeah, Killian Brockhoff. I thought we were calling him Brokoff in the beginning. I guess now I'll never know for sure. But he didn't enter the portal until Friday, so a little bit late. And look, he's a guy I kind of saw what he was and what he could do. I do wonder with a few players, there's like a butterfly effect. Is what if some of those 3-point attempts had fallen?
Yeah.
I liked his shot. It always looked good to me. I was at GW when a few of those just really just rimmed out, and I don't know, man. We didn't see a lot of him. I do wonder if this is just kind of an odd man out situation with Picard, with Jax Kerr coming in, with the other bigs.
You're
Or
looking at,
right.
more beef to the front line.
Yeah, I wonder if he just kind of looked and thought, well, I'm a year older than Max. I'm a year or two ahead of Jax Kerr. And I still don't have a role carved out for me, and I just don't have as much time to wait. So, yeah, he'll be looking for his third school in 3 years, which
It's
is
tough.
unfortunate, but he's
Yeah.
already a long way from home.
Back to your point about, what if his shots go down, I still really am kind of sour with the start of the season and with Avila going down, and not with, I'm not sour with Avila, like whatever. But just that, I thought it didn't make a lot of sense then to slide Anya into the Avila role
Mhm.
and not, I thought that's an opportunity for Shirts to give a guy like Killian Brockoff, a guy like Max Picard, free run to learn on the fly, to play without worrying about mistakes. Um, add to the depth, right? If they come along early in the season, then you have depth down the stretch. Nothing really changed in the front court. I don't think Casey was gonna really ever again. I don't know. I would have liked to see them get a little more run early in the season and maybe offer more down the stretch. But again, not surprised by Brockhoff. I'm glad, and I hope this doesn't age poorly. I am really glad that Picard is sticking around. Tremendous upside. Again, physical gifts that don't come around often. Um,
Yeah, and I guess we should caveat everything we say with as of now, right? As
yes,
of now,
right.
like it's been officially less than one full week since the portal is opened, and we do have more weeks of this ahead. So like there's always a chance that other people could leave, but as of right now,
There are more
right.
players in the portal than dollars in my portfolio, and it is depressing.
But but those are the guys that were for now operating as if they will be the ones leaving.
Yeah. Incoming transfers. I was gonna go in about, and I can look. I think I do want to talk about this because there are rumors about a transfer coming in, and we both love it. We're gonna talk about it here, but I think it'd be interesting to talk about the confidence level that Shirts will be able to build from the portal and put together a team and get them playing together in a time span that allows us to compete for an NCAA tournament, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I talked a lot last season about how I trusted Shirts implicitly until he gave me a reason not to. And I think the shortcomings in the way the roster was built, i.e., no stretch four. It's been talked about. I think it's fair to say I can't be confident, right? I am hopeful, eternally hopeful, but I, I feel like it should have been constructed better. Again, the two outgoing transfers, the victim of the injury bug. Um, they're transferring out. Would they have been impact players? Again, I don't know. I think Kellen Thames was hugely impactful. I really do. And maybe he changes everything, but that's hard to say. I'm worried that, if he couldn't put together a cohesive roster for his system this year, why not? And will he be able to this season? I think it's a fair question.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. Absolutely. I with open roster spots, with a season that I think was a little bit, not quite what we wanted, a little bit disappointing. Then I think they're all valid, Zach. I agree with you completely there. I just am willing to wait and see, and I think he's got. I think he's going to have a little bit more of an idea of how exactly to construct this. I think he's going to have a more favorable budget. And I think people, even though this season wasn't exactly what we wanted, I think there was enough there to kind of say, okay, I see what this is. I see what the vision is. Let's get the pieces in place and let's put this thing together.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna choose optimism.
Hey, look, we've got to have balance in the show, Pete.
Sure, sure.
Let's talk about some rumors. You posited the question of a player that was on campus this week, and we got some confirmation, fleeting confirmation, I would say. Not, who's that guy?
So we have a guy who has been on campus before, and we did get confirmation that he was on campus again, and that's Paul.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
Well, you and I were both there, Zach. The player is Paul Otieno from Quinnipiac, and they played on campus.
Oh, okay.
Over
now I got you.
Thanksgiving week.
I got you. Okay.
Yes.
I was like, did he visit under Ford?
Yeah, no, he was never a recruit before, but he played on campus before, and man, oh man, did he show out. He was very good in that game. So look, he's on campus, or he was on campus this weekend. And we're starting to see publicly, Zach, on places like Twitter and Billikens.com, people are just kind of posting the rumor that we're hearing, and that's that he committed.
Yeah.
And to kind of let you know who he is a grad student. And I mean, he's every bit of a grad student. He went to JUCO first. He did 3 years at Quinnipiac. And because of that new rule,
God bless,
he's got one more year. And all 6'8", 225 of him could be a Billiken very shortly if everything pans out. Again, subject to change, but as of Sunday night, it's looking good. The rumors are looking good. It just hasn't been made official. He's originally from Nairobi, Kenya. He came over and played at Sunrise Christian Academy for a prep year. Went to JUCO, Kilgore College, one of the best JUCOs, and then 3 years at Quinnipiac. And there's a lot to like here, Zach. There's a lot to like about this. If assuming the rumors are true, I am all in on this one.
Yeah, I like it too. 6'8", 225, from Nairobi, Kenya. And he's the stats here, they tell a great story. 60% career from inside the arc. Last year he shot 38% from three on one attempt per game. Again, keeping the defense honest. It's kind of, I said I would like Kalu Anya to at least hoist 1-3 a game. He's a rim protector, 2 blocks a game last season for Quinnipiac. He scored 13 points a game. I love this. His rebounding, it's exactly what we need. He had a little over 8 rebounds per game last season. Again, this fits right in there. You can sit Koluanya behind him. I think this is a great addition.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to give you some more kind of
Please
ways to
enlighten
look
me.
at this. Slash line is 585, 375, 811 this past season, which is outstanding for a big man. Over 80% from the free throw
Oh
line,
my God.
And yeah,
I'm getting a little tingly thinking about a big man that can shoot over 80%.
right.
It's like a basketball fetish.
It's only one 3-point attempt per game, but 37.5%, you absolutely take it. Not a big sample size, could go up or down, but the fact that he can do it is something to be said about that. Like you said, great shot blocker. He gives you rebounding. He's a good defensive rebounder. He's a great offensive rebounder. I like everything that he brings. He plays really well out of the pick and roll. I think that's huge for us. So he gives you efficiency on all levels. He gives you rim protection, rebounding. One of the things that we know he's got experience. We know he's good out of the pick and roll. One of the things that I haven't mentioned yet, durability, Zach.
Oh,
He started every single game Quinnipiac played for 3 years. He started every single game
don't
Kilgore
jinx it,
played his
Peter.
sophomore year.
Don't jinx it.
I'm just saying this is not if he's the guy injury prone, he has not shown that in the past 5 years at all. Extremely durable. His rankings in the MAAC, the MAC, here in Ohio, the MAC has 1A, but this is the other one. He was 16th in the conference in scoring, 13th in minutes, 19th in minutes per game, 10th in field goals made, 12th in free throws made, second
One
in
to one.
rebounding per game.
1-1.
The number one offensive rebounder, number 7 in defensive rebounding per game, second in field goal percentage, second in blocks, just across the board, everything you want inside.
1-1 assist to turnover ratio.
1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, good for a big. He played
Yes.
over 31 minutes a game. So I mean, to me, this is like just a home run
I'll,
pickup. And if you like the more, I'm almost done. If
ah,
you like the more advanced metrics, he was number 1 in win shares this season in the conference,
I don't know
and
what that
he
means.
led the MAC in offensive rating each of the past 2 seasons. So. The metrics like this guy too, Zach, not just the easy dum-dum stats that we know.
Let's go ahead and count his games where he made all of his free throws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that's games where he shot at least 2 free throws. 11 games where he did not miss from the free throw line, which can mean only one thing. He's going to shoot 35% next year.
That SLU game, you can see why we pursued him. He,
Yes.
in 33 minutes, went 7 of 13 from the field, 3 of 5 from three. So that was like early in the season, he wasn't shooting as many threes and decided to go off in that game. Only 2 of 4 from the free throw line, but he did finish with 19 and 10. Overall, he did foul out. So not his best game there, but 19 and 10. And I remember, sitting next to you. I don't know if I said it, but definitely watching that guy, I was like, man, I would love to have a guy like that inside with Avila, like just that really feels like the missing piece to me.
Yeah, kind of crazy. We should just grab one player from every team that torched us this year. Like whatever player torched, like let's get that Terrence Ford guy. Let's see, who else can we pull?
Woody Newton, you were
Woody
to go
Newton.
with
Let's
him.
get Woody Newton. That yeah, I don't know. Somebody from it doesn't matter. The bit's dead. The bit is dead. Somebody from San Francisco, anybody over there, Wichita State. Can we get anybody? Santa Clara? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the A10 portal. It's not, this isn't fun for us. Outgoing Davidson is losing Mike Lanane.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so when I set this up, Zach, so yeah, we don't have to go through all of it.
Now we
but
go through. I mean, we're gonna have a short show. I think it's pretty obvious.
So what did want to highlight a few things, and that is the teams that are losing the most.
Yeah.
The teams that aren't touched at all. Loyola's still playing. Nobody's out there yet. And St. Joe's, surprisingly enough, nobody's left there yet either. So I think those are worth highlighting. But yeah, to swing back to Davidson, they've got four out, including Reed Bailey and Bobby Durkin. Those are
That's tough.
big losses to me. And then, but they do have Parker Fredrickson coming in from Wake Forest. So, a little bit of a silver lining there. We haven't seen as many commitments yet. So it's going to look more negative than positive for a couple weeks here.
Pete, three out of Dayton, and one is surprising. And does he have any eligibility?
Yeah, Malachi Smith, I guess he does have one more year because he's already had that medical red shirt. So I think he's one of those few guys who can still stack the COVID bonus
Should
year
we
on top.
pursue?
I don't know if we're allowed to
Hmm.
morally, ethically,
Yeah.
legally.
Well,
Uh,
he does like to party.
we need to, we know that.
I mean, hey, the guy likes to smack some butts and party, apparently. I don't know.
We do have evidence of that. We probably need to consult Eric Pitlick, the Arch Baron Cup historian,
Yes.
before
Who is
making
the
a move in that
last
regard.
Dayton? Who is the last player to transfer from between schools?
Has there ever been
I
one? I mean,
can't I can't imagine there has
there
been.
haven't been like yeah. I mean, if we don't know, I mean, because we're in the age of transfers, right? So if it
Yeah.
hasn't happened in recent years, then
No.
I can't think of one.
Um Duquesne also lost three, including one kind of big time contributor.
Yeah, Trey Dinkins was a little over 13 points a game. He led them in scoring for quite a bit of this season, and he's out in the portal now. They've got a couple others, including Kareem Rozier, who, very good sixth man there. They had kind of an even balanced, attack top to bottom, so he was good too. So that's two key players, but I would have to think that Drew Joyce is going to be an attractive name to go play for if they've got some NIL money.
Um, Fordham, I don't think there's any surprise here with the news of Keith or go fuck yourself out at Fordham. Uh, Jafet Mador, Jameer Tripp, Will Richardson, Ramad Dean, Jaden Smith, and Josh Rivera. Not that Josh Rivera.
Hmm.
Top seven scores are all gone, and two will they'll lose to graduation. If Matt Zona doesn't have any more eligibility, that could be the top nine. But I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think on that?
Well, I think Zona might have one more year, but yeah, if he doesn't, their top nine are gone. If not, it'll be like eight of the top nine, which is crazy. They've got a new coach. We'll get to that soon, but that's a lot. I mean, it's kind of a shame, at Fordham, but hopefully it's a chance for them to reset and refresh everything with a new coach in there. He's got no choice. He's got no choice but to.
Dude, can you
Um,
imagine like the pressure on new coaches now?
it's incredible. It's
Like,
such a short amount of time.
I realize the irony in me saying this after I just kind of like was critical of shirts, but like again, I think he had a lot of juice coming in, right? St.
Mhm.
Louis has money. And I still don't know. I mean, there's a lot of talk that Fordham is in the top part of the A10 with NIL, and I mean, do we believe that?
I think there are a lot of schools saying like, "Hey, we're committed to this now. Like we've got a real budget now." But I don't think they all quite know what that number is, or what the
Or
number is
no?
at other places.
Yes, that's what I was curious. Like,
Yeah,
do they think they know? Like, I don't, and they don't actually know.
yeah. It's. I mean, for one, it's a gray market, so there's not transparency, and agents and players have every incentive to lie upward, right? So do other schools. Like when Louisville says we're going to spend $9 million or whatever it is. Are they? I don't know. Are like, or is it just in their interest to say that? I don't really know what to believe out there, and I feel like a lot of what we're hearing from players, agents, reporters, schools themselves is just it's a little bit inflated. So that doesn't mean that it's still not an absurd amount. overall, but yeah, I'm color me skeptical that Fordham's actually going to be able to compete in this landscape.
Um, Maybe is this next transfer the most surprising?
I don't know that any transfer is truly
That's true.
surprising to me anymore. But Jalen Haynes is out with two other guys at George Mason, but he's the one. He's the all conference player. He's the one who's really over the course of the season, his reputation
Fat Terrence
skyrocketed.
Hargrove.
But he was undoubtedly an effective player, and it's a big loss for them. They haven't lost any of their other biggest names yet. These are the only three. It's him and two kind of lower names, but yeah, that's a big one. I think he kind of must have had a pretty, he had a lot of momentum as the season went on. So I wonder if he's just trying to parlay that into some big money, maybe from an ACC school or something.
Why don't we get him? We should get him. We should get rid of Anya and get Haynes.
That would be interesting.
I would.
Uh, we would be pretty loaded in the front court at that point.
Yeah, the front court wins championships, is what they say. Um, George Washington. I don't know who any of these people are.
They've got four out, and the one that people would probably recognize is Darren Buchanan. I don't think he ended up being their top scorer this season, but he was expected to be, and he was their leading scorer for a while. I think he battled some kind of minor injuries throughout the year, but Buchanan's a good player. I don't know what he has in mind. This kind of felt like the right level for me for him to me for him to be like kind of that top two guy on an A10 roster. I could see him kind of trying to transfer up and getting lost on a power conference roster, but maybe the money's worth it. I don't know.
Um, LaSalle is losing Urkel among seven others.
I'm surprised that didn't come up more often. And then I realized like you and I are just probably older than a lot of other A10 fans that we encounter online.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jaleel White, spelled differently, but Jaleel White is out. And seven other guys, but the one that really stood out to me, Zach, was Deuce Jones because he was the conference freshman of the year, I believe. And yeah, just a really promising young talent. So they've got the new coach coming in from Radford, and he brought one player with him, Truth Harris, so far from Radford. I don't think that, Radford's in the same league as Longwood, and so you're moving up, and not all of the Big South, I think is just not a super competitive conference talent wise compared to the A10. So there's not going to be a lot of guys you can bring with you, even if you had some success with that core there. So hopefully he recognizes that. But I think this guy will be a good one to make the step up.
Nobody's in or out of Loyola. Obviously, they're still playing in the NIT.
Hmm.
Out at Rhode Island are always right. David Fox, Tyon Farrell, and Cam Estevez.
Yeah, so David, your pal David there,
David Fuchs.
they seemed a little upset when he left, even though he was only like their number 7 or 8
I
guy. I
I
think.
am I am all in. Like I am all in on you are a huge nerd if you like actively wish a guy well transferring out of your program. Like if you go out of
There you
your
go.
way to be like, we wish you the best, you're a huge loser. I'm sorry.
It also might be there might be a little insincerity in it. Like
Oh, there is.
you'd have a lot harder time doing that if you really wanted a guy to stay. Like it's easy for me to go to AJ Casey like,
If
"Hey
you
man,
love
best
if
of
you
luck,"
love
because like
someone, if you love someone, let them free. And if
yeah,
it's meant to be, they'll fly back to
they'll
you.
fly back. I don't think any of these four will though. Tyon Farrell, really promising freshman, could have been the league's freshman of the year if he stayed, but he left mid-season. I don't know what the story was there. And then Always Right didn't play this year. I think he took a medical red shirt. His brother, All Right at
Mm.
Valpo, is also in the portal. So I guess there's always a chance that the two kids from Missouri end up on the same team. All Right, Always Right, the Wright brothers.
They
I've
should
seen
end up at Wright State.
I've seen every joke about these two so
Will
far.
they end up at Mizzou?
No, they're not that level. No, 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 no.
I think you mean Mizzou's not that level.
That's right. They can't
Yeah, yeah.
handle
Sorry.
the
Yep.
rights.
Yeah. No, they are wrong.
I think SLU
Uh,
has reached out to all right
what
though.
what what was it? Right to work, wrong for Missouri on the bumper sticker. No, I'm not. Like I just just for the
I know you.
linguistic,
I
just the
know. Yes,
linguistic. Always right, wrong for Missouri.
that's really funny. Ah,
I just remember that on every bumper sticker.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
the only bumper sticker I saw for like 5 years. On the Richmond, our guy Chris Mooney is losing Liam Weaver and George Washington. Any word on whether George Washington will head to his namesake
I mean,
university?
just like with the Wright brothers, it's like the first thing that happens when he hits the portal
Yes.
is Chris Caputo has a chance to do the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
So would I like to see George Washington III, play at his great grandfather's school? Yeah, that would be awesome. I hope he goes there. But if he didn't play much at a terrible Richmond team, I don't think he's going to land in the A10.
I while we're on the subject of silly names, committing to silly universities, didn't Butler just sign a guy whose last name is Butler?
They did. Yes, they did.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, that's beautiful. Not WRIGHT. That's ALLRIGHT. Just for to avoid confusion.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, St. Bonaventure. Not that it mattered because they only played five guys, but nine are out into the portal.
Yeah, but some pretty big names in this group.
Sure.
LeJay Jones, Chance Moore, but Melvin Council, who I really, really like. I think he's even a little underrated, one of the best players in the conference. They lose those three along with, Jonah Hinton, a few others who were contributors this season. But they are the only team that has two guys in already. They've got Joe Grahovac, I guess is his last name, from JUCO, Grahovac. Really good JUCO player.
Grahovich.
Grahovic, and he
Grahovac?
he looks
I
a
don't
little
know.
bit like old pictures of Bill Walton.
Yes, I
He's
saw
got
that.
big moppy hair, and yeah, he kind of
Yes.
looks like he's out of the 70s. And then Frank Mitchell from Minnesota, really nice center who I think could be an all-conference center there. So I think there's something going on, like Woj has a mandate to really upgrade talent, and those two are really nice pieces. I would have liked, if I were them, I would have found a way to keep Melvin Council and maybe Jones, maybe more. But so that feels like a big loss to me. But otherwise, those two guys coming in show me that they're serious about what they're doing.
Um, I find it really annoying when how much like press Woj is getting, as if like it's some amazing thing that he's a GM. Like for I don't get it. I don't care.
It You have to admit it's interesting. I mean,
It
like
is. It's
if
interesting.
if there are, that many people in the basketball world who have followed this guy for so long on on Twitter and everywhere else, like Woj bombs, and like he became a really big thing, and then all of a sudden to walk away from that and go back to your alma mater in Western New York, up in the snowy mountains up there, and then be
It's
their
kind of my
GM, it's
dream.
weird. It's weird.
It's kind of my dream. But like again, like they always like St. Bonaventure, they have a GM. They're one of the few mid majors that have a GM. Shut the fuck up.
Well, that's not true anymore. A lot
No,
more have added the role since then. But also, like, yeah, I mean, it's yeah. So it's not super unique. I don't think they're working with like $10 million, but I do think
they
like,
work with 10 million Canadian dollars.
oh yeah, the funny money up there.
Yeah.
But
The
no,
loonies and the toonies.
I guess I will say though that these first two players give me confidence that they actually do have a plan.
Not a concept of a plan. They have a plan.
They do. They do.
A10 coaching updates. This see.
Oh wait. We got
Oh,
one
whoa,
more
whoa,
school,
whoa, whoa.
VCU.
I forgot they exist. Um, yeah, they're losing Bamboye
Yeah.
and Brandon Jennings. Not that Brandon Jennings.
Yeah, they've got a few other guys in there, but he's the only one I think is worth mentioning. He's the reason I say that is because he was one of the best freshmen in the league, really good big man, and I think the risk here, Zach, is if you're a big and he was a contributor at VCU, right? But he was like a sixth or seventh or eighth man. He was off the bench. He was the backup. They kind of platooned minutes. Um, Good contributor at a good school as a freshman, right? But if he goes up a level to where, like, to the power conference where they are really desperate to have that highest level of talent at all times, and they're going to spend for that, he really risks getting lost in the shuffle. And you look at a guy like Ramon Castro, who didn't do anything at Providence for 2 years, comes to George Washington, and he's a first team all conference player, fantastic player. He just didn't get a chance at Providence.
Yeah.
Another big man goes up to Providence, Christ,
Essendoko.
Essendonco, yeah, and really didn't do much. And I
No.
think that's the risk here for Bamboye is just kind of like too soon making that leap. I think he needed one more
He
year
should probably come to
level.
SLU.
I would have been fine with that,
I
but
would take it.
if our rumor's true, I guess we probably don't need him right now
I
anyway.
mean, we could always shoo
That's true.
somebody else. Let's get into the coaching. Fordham had a little bit of a detour on the way, a couple detours,
Yeah.
a few swerves in their coaching search. It was a short search.
Hmm.
Uh, let's talk about that, Pete.
Yeah, they did have a couple false starts, and it sounded like they were really botching this thing because initially we heard reports that they were hiring Rob Senderoff from Kent State,
Do
and
what?
we mentioned him with a few other guys last week, and you already made your jokes, so I think we can kind of let it pass this time.
I did an abbreviated version. Give me a break.
But he ended up staying there at Kent State and signing a 6-year extension instead. And by the way, Sion Medley announced that he would return with him. So good news for Senderoff. And then they started closing in on Mike Magpayo from UC Riverside. And it took an extra day or two. And then there were some rumors that it fell through before ultimately they locked him in for a 6-year deal. And yeah, that was looking really dicey there for a minute. There were reports that it had completely fallen apart, and then it was like, I don't know what their next option is because they've been through a few so far. And luckily they got him, Zach. They got him. Six-year deal. He's got a little bit of New York experience. He did really well at UC Riverside, and I think what a lot of the people kind of looking at his wins and losses and metrics and stuff out there and kind of outperforming expectations. One of the things,
If you win in the UC school system, I mean that is hard. Like there's a conference of all UC schools, the
Big
Big
West.
West, and none of them win shit. Like none of them
Yeah.
have historically won anything, right?
Well, you had this year that was kind of an aberration because UC Irvine
Yes.
and UC San Diego were both so good, and so I'll give them that. But it's hard to sustain anything there. Like Long Beach State every once in a while was good, and they replaced their coach, and so yeah, I agree. That's a tough conference to win. But not only that, UC Riverside a few years ago they had commissioned a study about whether they should drop down to D2 or D3. So this wasn't just like a tough place to win because it's already a tough place to win out in that conference. It was a tough place to win because they were thinking about bailing on Division One athletics altogether, and he still did pretty well. So I'll give him a chance at Fordham. I think he could be all right.
Do you know the only university outside of California in the Big West?
Hawaii.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Everything
Uh,
else is either the UC system or the Cal State system.
yeah, I mean UC traditionally has been any of the UC schools. I'm trying to find like the history of the basketball conference, but like I mean, UC San Diego not really known for their basketball.
No, and they're
UC,
they're they're new to D1. They've only been in D1 a handful of years.
UC Riverside, obviously UC Santa Barbara. I can't remember the last time I heard about Santa Babs. Um, UC Irvine. Uh, I mean
They're
that's
they're they're pretty good. Out of all of them, I think they're probably the
yeah.
best.
I mean Cal State is. I mean I feel like Cal State has generally been the place to go for athletics. If you're looking at the California college system, um, VCU. Did we mention that Ryan Odom left for Virginia?
I don't know if we did last week. I don't know if it was even on the show. Like I put that note in there and I wasn't sure, Zach. But anyway, they hired Phil Martelli Jr. We started hearing about it late Tuesday night and they made it official on Wednesday. And it sounds like his dad, the elder Phil Martelli, will join his staff too. which is kind of fun for A10 fans.
Yeah, it is. I mean it's certainly got a great it's got the extracurricular drama that you get in the A10 and we love that A10
Hmm.
talk A10 Twitter.
Sure.
This was an interesting one because we heard, there were names that were thrown out. Richard Pitino Jr.
Hmm.
Who else? Wasn't there another one thrown out, or was it just? Was it there was like a 3 school sweepstakes for Patino?
There was.
Nova, what
Yeah.
was it?
They were like,
Nova,
oh, it's down
Xavier,
to,
and did Xavier end up getting
well, for a
Patino?
while, they were like, well, it's, yeah, Xavier won. But
Okay,
for a while, it looked like it was going to be Villanova VCU, and then it wound
yeah,
up being Xavier. VCU also, oh man, I'm forgetting because this was, a year ago, it seems like, in college basketball news. But yeah, there were a few names that they were linked to, and so I think some people were a little, I don't know, nonplussed by this hire, I guess.
yeah. I mean, I don't.
Martelli comes from Bryant. I think he did fine there, but like, there's not a big body of work to kind of hang your hat on here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, VCU is VCU. We saw that a lot on Twitter. That's not a unique take. But people online seem to be pretty split. I don't know. I probably expected more, but I think they, much like the Hollywood, studio system, like to now hire. They work in franchises. They don't work in movie stars.
Right.
So they like to bring in the known the guys with a little bit less pedigree and kind of mold them, I guess. But it is surprising. Usually they don't. I mean, Phil Martelli's still a name, right? He's just not
Yeah.
a name for himself.
Right.
So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting. What's your put it on record? Is Phil Martelli Jr. going to be the first bust?
I think that is. I'm not willing to go there. I still have faith in like VCU and what they're doing. And you know what's funny, Zach, is the last guy they hired, Odom, actually had a little bit less in common with their previous hires. Like
Yeah.
we look at their history and go, oh wow, that's like 6 or 7 guys in a row who have all like
And we
stepped
can
up.
talk about that for a hot minute too.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it was like all in a row. Like they got it right, they got it right, they got it right, and all these guys left for like higher level jobs eventually. And so you're just like VCU is a wagon. Here's 2+ decades of them just nailing their hires every single time.
Fordham and
It,
VCU diametrically opposed to each other.
yeah, exactly. And when you think about it too, like VCU, it's like I guess what I'm trying to get at is like people who aren't impressed by Martelli. I think what we're forgetting is we look back at all those other hires and think about their whole careers and not what they were when VCU hired them. So we have kind of the hindsight, the history that's kind of clouding our judgment here. And like those coaches really weren't, they were all on the come up too. So I think there's a chance that Martelli could be the next in all of those. And not just maybe somebody who's punching above his weight a little bit here. He was only the coach at Bryant for 2 years. He was 14-2 in the league this year, which was good for first place. They did get into the tournament as well. He was 11-5 in the league, third place in his first year, 20 wins in his first year. So there's some promise in a short amount of time. I know they did not play much of a schedule at all. But I think there's something here. And then, if he does have his dad on staff, that's fun. And that's a guy who like has been in the game for a long time and certainly somebody who's, good to have around. So it's interesting. It's an intriguing pick. It's not the sexiest pick. I can understand being a VCU fan and not the most excited by it, but I don't think it's a bad hire. I think he'll be fine. Maybe it'll take him a little bit longer than Odom and some of the guys that came before him, but I think he'll be fine.
Looking at all those VCU hires, it reminds me just how bad the hiring has been
Hmm.
here at SLU since, Shaka Smart left since 2000, what? 13, 12.
Yeah. Shaka Smart left there in 15.
Okay. Well, anyway, since 2011, it's been dog shit here. And watching VCU make hire after hire and have coaches leave, it's frustrating. And seeing another one move on up and a new coach come in that is probably going to be a good hire.
Yeah,
It's frustrating.
it's been every year since 2002 that VCU has gotten it right because that's when they hired Jeff Capel,
Hmm.
who went on to bigger and better things. Then Anthony Grant for 3 seasons. As we know, he moved up and then moved over to Dayton, but he went to Alabama first. Shaka Smart was there for 6 years before I guess he went to Texas. Will Wade was there for just 2 years before I guess LSU was where he went right
Mm-hmm.
after that. Mike Rhodes was there for 6 years before
Mike
going to
Rhodes
Penn
was there
State.
for 6 years.
Yeah, he was because Wade was only there for two.
Holy shit.
It feels a little shorter because the COVID years were in there, and
Mm-hmm.
so like his first few years were a little iffier, just because that kind of messed things up a little bit. And then they had Odom for 2 seasons, so that's a long time of getting it right. All of those guys since 2002, and you can whatever you think about those coaches now and what they've accomplished or their ups and downs since then. At the time, those were good hires, and they got them all right. So. Yeah, they have a chance to keep that going, but I don't know. I'm very very interested in this hire.
There are a lot of programs in this conference whose coaches might be on the hot seat, but this season they didn't make the moves. Are you surprised that Rhode Island, St. Joe's, David rate these four schools from least surprised to most surprised that they didn't make moves? Rhode Island, St. Joe's, Davidson, Richmond.
I would say I'm probably the most surprised by St. Joe's and the least surprised by Davidson. I think Davidson, no matter what, he was going to have more time because it's only been 3 years. Richmond is kind of an interesting case, right? Because every time Mooney seems like he's on life support, he comes up with something, a tournament
Mm-hmm.
appearance, a couple NIT runs, a first place finisher. So like he'll do something. But I really do kind of question now that he's going on like 2 decades there, what the future is for Richmond when they were as bad as they were this season, and he really is such a system guy who relies on having guys there for a long time. I do kind of wonder what the future is there. Rhode Island, I think there was more discontent among the fans than I saw visibly among St. Joe's fans for whatever reason. Maybe that's just our limited sample size, but I do think they're questioning whether Archie has any ability to win there, and I certainly don't have a whole lot of faith in him based on what I saw against a super weak schedule this year. So. Yeah, like these are all guys that if they were my head coach right now, I'd be pretty restless. I'll put it that way. Lang is one that he must have pictures of their whole administration in on Epstein Island or
I don't know. I think the thing with Billy Lang is he's kind of got that Travis Ford in him, that
something.
Teflon kind of. He's a man about town. I feel like maybe he's not a man about town, but he's got the celebrity to him, and people like rubbing elbows with him. I think that's
Interesting.
probably
Yeah,
he's a personality hire.
he's an NBA guy too. It's an NBA
Yes,
town. So I think there's an element of that, but
I think they like to tout. Like again, you look at some of the shit we heard out of like Chris May with Travis Ford. Like he's raised the talent level. He's he's put guys in like stuff that doesn't equal wins and losses
yeah,
is being touted. That's when you're in trouble, and that's kind of what we've got from say out of St. Joe's. He
yeah.
brings in a lot of great talent. He's Eric Reynolds, all this stuff, and nothing's really ever materialized.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, they have had the talent. It's also crazy now that we're almost a week into the portal and not one person has jumped. So they seem to like him too for
Yeah.
whatever reason. Like they're happy to win 20 games with Billy Lang in St. Joe's. I don't get it. But Zach, one team who seems pretty content in their coaching situation, George Mason,
Hmm.
signed Tony Skinn to an extension through 2030. I think it's a pretty smart move, making him expensive to buy out. So that's kind of a win-win, no matter what happens down the road for Mason.
Until they
Uh,
tank next year.
until they tank. I think they'll be all right. I actually do think he's a good enough coach to keep them in the top half of the A10, even when they're down a little bit. I would expect to see that as long as he's there.
Pete, before we move away from men's basketball and lose about 33% of our listeners, I wanted to point out something that I saw on social media, and that is that SLU is closing their meteorology department. They are eliminating it as a major. And I think this is something to note as the new president will take over in June, the guy who's coming in to balance the budget.
Yes, before I get going on this, I'm kind of curious. Like meteorology, this one seems to have stuck out to you. I mean, like I feel like there are other programs that they could have dropped and maybe not have hit our radar, as it were. But
Nice.
uh,
Nice.
I,
Uh,
I'm wondering, does this one
Excellent
have a
stuff.
special place in your heart? This program?
No, I don't know. But I've always been like, I think there are a lot of programs that, like I have my own opinion on certain college programs. Like, I think business is sorry. I was in communication, so even a more joke of a major, right? But like, I think there are majors where they have a direct career path, right?
Mhm.
And meteorology is one of them. Business, I get, yes, sure, it has its a career path, but like, I mean, anybody can be an entrepreneur. Anybody can, get a general bachelor's degree, and anything in college you can go work in. That people in business now, they just want to see that you've graduated, you've taken the time, for like you can get an associate's degree and get in on the ground level. You can learn coding and go work in,
Yeah.
like I feel like a degree where it's a direct path to a career. It's like eliminating pharmacology or whatever, right? Like it's a straight path. You don't you have a job when you graduate, more than likely.
Yeah, so reading up on like there's nothing official that's out there yet, but it sounds like people are getting word like it sounds legit, I guess is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying. Just found out that St. Louis University's meteorology program is being cut. If you know anyone trying to get into SLU, next semester is the last semester they are accepting any meteorology students. Sad news coming out of the meteorology department at SLU. Um, what else here? In a letter to SLU staffs, the department chair, Dr. Charles Graves, said the program will be phased out over the next few years. Said students should be able to finish their degrees if they're there now. The weather world is in revolt over the news of the SLU dropping its meteorology program. So yeah, it sounds like this is kind of getting out there, and it's a shame. I knew a meteorology major when I was at SLU, and I don't know. You're right. It's a cool major. It's a science program. There is a path to a career. I do wonder what else might be on the chopping block, but yeah, that's all. That kind of stuff always makes me sad.
Yeah, it just feels like, careers like teaching, obviously medical fields. I mean, again, I haven't been in aviation, right? All of those are very regimented paths to that you need to hit to be in a certain career, and it gives you, you know, direction, a little more direction. Like at the end of the day, I probably shouldn't have been in communication because the last thing I didn't need was, or the thing I didn't need was a lack of direction, right? I could have used so much more. Should have stayed in teaching, even if I didn't end up teaching, like could have gone into something else around it. But yeah, I think as I think two things, right? My view is that those career path degrees are majorly important as people start to rethink college as a pursuit.
Hmm.
That and athletics, right? it's no secret that applications go up when uh, when you make the NCAA tournament or make a run in the NCAA tournament. So I think offering that experience to your students through, athletic excellence, something they can enjoy while they're on campus, be a part of, be a fan of, is majorly important to getting people to come to your school when people are really taking into account whether or not they're going to go to college at all and whether they're going to spend 40 grand. I think it's probably up to 45, 50 grand by now. Um, so yeah, I definitely think it's kind of a little weird that you would drop a major that has that path, the clear path major, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Let's talk about something happy. Let's talk about food.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Zach. As I'm sitting here, mourning the loss of the meteorology program while we are under a tornado warning. So
Uh,
hopefully,
make sure the 2 Men in the Garden is in the basement with you.
I do. I can ensure that. Always, Zach. I got as I said last week, I did get a shipment from them pretty recently, and I was sure to put a bunch of different sauces in there. I got the extra or the extra hot. I'm blanking on it now. The hot, the medium, blended the screaming hot. Sorry, blended them all together, smoothed them out a little bit, and it makes for me, the smoother texture, perfect for tacos. We had breakfast tacos this week. Scrambled eggs, soft tortilla, pepper jack cheese, some peppers and onions, and then a spoonful of this stuff across the top, man, and it is just perfect. The blend winds up being, because the screaming hot leans a little bit higher compared to the hot and medium. So what you wind up is something that's not perfectly in the middle, but a little hotter than hot. Their flavor hot, that is. And I think it's my sweet spot. We're having gringo tacos one night this week, and it's going to go on those as well. So I take 3 jars, blend them all together. I've got, 3 jars of my stuff when I'm done, and it's perfect. It's right where I want it. So you should head over to 2minuteagarden.com. Do the same for yourself. $9.99 nationwide shipping. You can't beat it. Can't beat the products. It's great, and it's over at 2minuteagarden.com.
Yeah, I may have to put in an order here. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to put in an order.
you
I haven't
do.
I haven't been able to get it in a long time, so I need to do that for Cinco de Mayo. On the women's basketball side, Pete, I know we're both kind of anxiety. We got a lot of anxiety, a lot of angst, more anxiety, I think, about this program. A lot of women's players entering the portal. Rita Nazario and Tierra Simon joined Gray and Umeli and Shavers in the portal this week. This is the first time I've said Shun's last name, and it sounded natural for me. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I mean, there's some question here. Are these players leaving on their own accord because they don't like the situation or they think they can get more money? Or is it possible that Tillett actually has a decent NIL budget to work with and has a mandate to update talent a la Woj?
I mean, look, that could be what's happening. That's kind of how she spun it when she
Yeah.
talked to Stu, and
Which is kind of a little bit of a backhanded, a little bit of a I don't know. It
don't don't
feels,
don't let the door hit you on the way
yeah,
out.
exactly. It feels a little bit like, you know what, you just weren't good enough for us, so we're gonna go ahead and upgrade the talent.
Yeah, well, I mean, she recruited them in the first place, and I've been saying for a few weeks now, there's no reason why we shouldn't have better talent than we did. So,
Yeah.
I hope she's getting the message and figuring that out. I hope what she's saying is true. I think there probably could have been a role for Tierra Simon. That one really surprises me. It's like she's pretty much it in the front court, still on the roster. So for her to go is pretty surprising. The same with Rita Nazario. Like she must have just been told there's no spot for you. So I don't know what should, maybe she could even go back to Portugal if she wants, but Look, right now we have the thinnest roster in program history, so she's got a lot to do, no matter what what the budget, what the mandate are. SLU right now has four returning players: Belle Tillett, Hannah Wallace, Mia Bergstrom, and Marilena Triantafili, plus the three incoming freshmen. Right, so seven scholarships are currently claimed, assuming Belle Tillett is still playing. She's got that 1 year of eligibility left. Coach Tillett had six returners, including, by the way, Julia Martinez, Brooke Flowers, and Peyton Kennedy when she arrived a few years ago, plus the three incoming freshmen that wound up staying committed, even though they left later.
Those
So
are
she,
three absolute legends of SLU women's basketball, by the way.
yeah, yeah. So she has fewer returning players now than she did when she took the job. And one of the returners redshirted, Trianta Feely. Two were freshmen who were up and down in the rotation this season. One is the coach's daughter. They're returning about 21% of minutes per game and 12% of last year's scoring. So look, we know they're busy in the portal, but this is an absolute total rebuild,
Yeah.
and she's got to get it right. She's got to get it right. We talked about year four, and that's when Stone really took off. And she didn't start from as high a point as Tillett, but yeah, I really hope it comes together, Zach, because she's got to get it right this time.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that she posted or whoever posted on the social media on Instagram where they had like a draft room, but for the portal. And I thought it
Yes.
was funny that they posted that and they have not signed anybody yet.
Well, I'm not. A lot of other people are a little more. I've seen plenty of people posting about like, have we signed anybody yet? Have gotten anybody?
No,
Like
yeah,
really
I mean,
impatient.
like, I'm not
I'm
impatient.
like people are still jumping into the portal right now. Like it's week one. Maybe by the end of next week, if we don't have anybody, I'll start to kind of go, okay, like let's get moving here. But I think oddly enough, there is a dead period coming up. So we could see a little bit of a lag time and then a big wave once we get to the second week of April. So we'll just
Yeah.
I'm willing to
Again,
wait and see.
I just thought it was funny that they
It
set
is
up a
funny.
room for like a process that takes months.
Yes. I
Like, are
know.
they just gonna hang out? Do they have sleeping bags in there? They're like a tech
Yeah.
startup.
Right. Yeah, it did make it look like this is the war room.
Yeah, we're gonna be in here
Until May.
from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We will be in here every day.
Yeah, yeah, until school is out,
Uh,
basically.
yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen here. I think Look, I thought it was said pretty eloquently on Billikens.com. I'm not gonna quote it, but like we got to just kind of let her either succeed or hang herself, I guess, because it's probably gonna have. This is probably the season that decides. I mean, I don't think she'll be fired after after this season either, but I think it's going to
Yeah, she'll
decide
probably
which
get,
way this is going to go.
that's right. She'll probably get two, right? And
Yes,
so this is the season where you put this big roster together and you're supposed to like, yeah, you're probably not going to win the league, but like you'll see some promise and you'll see
yes,
what's happening. And then next year's the year you're supposed to do it. And so it is pretty make or break. This next month and a half is really make or break in a big
yes,
way. Even though I would say like, yeah, it's the next 2 years. This is the month and a half that's going to determine how those 2 years go. So they've got
yeah.
to get it right.
It's going to be interesting. Stay
Yeah,
tuned.
for sure.
Uh, we have quite the week in Billiken baseball this year. The baseball this week was as wild as the weather in St. Louis. 12-2 win to start the week in 8 innings against Butler, Tuesday the 25th. Butler, the owner of the worst baseball field in the Big East, and I would still take it because then it wouldn't have Colin Surrey sitting out in 40-mile-per-hour winds in the middle of March. Just insane. We need a press box. It's got to happen. The
Yeah.
Billikens, 6 pitchers in this game allowed just 1 hit. However, it was a 2-run single in the 4th. Carter Kelsey gave up that hit, but still got the win when SLU went up 3-2 in the bottom of the inning. The next inning, the Billikens put it to bed with 7 more runs. The Billikens had 12 runs on 12 hits, 12 walks, 12 RBIs. and no home runs. Ian Blazier led the Bills with 3 hits and 4 RBIs, while Ian Halverson had 3 runs. And by the way, Hank Gomerick, shout out, using a song from Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, as his walk-up song. I believe it actually is called Tokyo Drift by the Teriyaki Boys.
It is. My son likes that tune.
Yes, I'm more of a 7 days remix was at Mos Def. It's DJ Shadow and Mos Def.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a great. If somebody would do that, actually, I think 1 through 9 should just play the first song, like just play the whole album. Oh my god, this would be an unbelievable bit. Please do it.
Or just like the whatever the song was for every entry in the Fast and the Furious.
Sure. I would. Oh, you know what? Good one. But you could. Why do that when you could have Tokyo Drift, the Barracudas by 5, 6, 7, 8, Round by the Far East Movement, Cho Large by the Teriyaki Boys, She Wants to Move by NERD, 6 Days by Mos Def and DJ Shadow, Restless by somebody I've never heard about, and Resound featuring Hyde. There were 12 tracks on this soundtrack. It's a great bit. Please do it, or do it from the main song from every album. It'd be unbelievable. Guarantee that makes John Boy Media, right? 100%.
For sure. Yeah. For
sure. Pete, go ahead and take this next one, and we'll just go back and forth here.
Yeah, this was a fun one, Zach. A 10-9 win in 10 innings over St. Bonaventure on Friday the 28th. Game 1. You were quoted as saying college baseball is a sicko sport after this game.
It's disgusting. It is gross. No, not after this game. I say this every day of my life. This is a credo. This is a mantra by which I live my life.
Bonaventure led 4-1 after 5. SLU then scored 4 runs over the next 3 innings and led by 1 after 8. Bonnie's tied it in the 9th and scored 4.
I turned it off. 10th. I turned it off in disgust.
As you should. 4 in the top of the 10th. Insurmountable lead, Zach. There's no way that SLU would have scored 5 in the bottom of the inning.
As we know, all bets are off when you get to a bullpen in college baseball.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And this 5-run comeback culminated in a walk-off RBI single from Brendan Stressler. Riley Ifrig led SLU with 4 hits in this game. Richie Simprich faced 1 batter but got the win, which is funny. Owen Kelly started and went 5 innings. Ty Holman and Charlie Weber came on in relief. And then Richie Boy finished up the 10th inning. 1 batter, but that's all he needed. Got that win. Got him out. And game 2, Zach, I think I can quote you again. College baseball is a sicko sport.
I mean, dude, you got like the amount. It is a wonder that that Darren Hendrickson hasn't gone full Silver Fox yet. I mean, dude, you spent 7 hours out there, and you saw how many lead changes? How many times did you see your team win the game, lose the game, win the game, lose the game within that 6 hours?
This was also like over. It was over at like 11 or something because we were up watching college basketball past midnight, this weekend because of the way the timing of the games were. And I saw that because I had that score box open, right? Like during the basketball games, and it was still going on like 11 something. It was wild.
Oh my God. It was crazy. I went to 9 Mile Garden on Friday night, and I still could have got over and seen probably 5 innings of baseball.
Amazing. I don't know what 9 Mile Garden is.
It's in Afton. It's like a food truck kind of deal with a brewery, or I don't know. I don't think they have I think they just have craft brews. Not your kind of craft brews, like craft brews for the normies.
Okay, so I'm looking at Gravois out in Afton.
Yes,
and so
I go there Afton.
Oh God. Okay, all right. Good
Thank you. Anyway, finish off this. Did you finish off this game? I don't even know where we're at. This podcast is no longer about Billiken athletics.
I don't
Apparently,
know if we actually even started this game.
yeah. Go ahead. It's a sicko sport. This game is again insane.
Yeah. So tied 7-7 after seven. The Bonnies got two in the top of the ninth. Slew didn't have the answer to this time though. Justin Lee pitched the final inning for the loss. Austin Newegg, Max McGuire, and Patrick Mendiola all homered in this game though.
If I was schizophrenic, there's so many patterns in these games. It'd send me into a tizzy, right?
I mean, you'd be full on like yarn on the
Yes,
chalkboard.
12 runs on 12 hits, 12 walks, and 12 RBIs.
It's the what's the movie with Jim Carrey, the number 23?
Seven. Oh yeah, number 23.
Hilarious. It's so stupid. It's like
It's funny,
the
bad.
stupidest movie. But yeah, it's exactly what you're talking about.
Um, However, the Billikens did come back and take the series, the third straight series for the Billikens. 7-3 win against Bonaventure on Saturday the 29th. The Billikens got out to an early 6-0 lead after five, and the Bonnies just didn't have enough to get back into it. Ben Cherico struck out the first batter and left the game. That's either the sickest move ever or he got hurt.
Yeah.
Christian Pownell pitched the next four innings for the win. Four different Billikens had two-hit games. One of them, Brendan Stressler, had three RBIs, including second inning, two-run single that opened the scoring. Talk about an opening pitcher. You face one batter. That's a whole new level to the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Pete, this team's 15-2 this season, or 15-12 this season. 6-3. The more exciting part. 15-12 is not that exciting. The more exciting part is they're 6-3 in conference play. Although they should have swept the Bonnies, they've now won 2 of 3 in each of the first three A10 series, which for a team in a rebuilding mode, a full-on rebuild, that's a pretty good recipe to stay at the top of the A10 standings.
It is, Zach. And next up they'll host Western Illinois on Tuesday, the 1st, and then they'll head to George Mason for 3 games this weekend. Mason is actually 1 game behind the Bills in the A10 standings to speak of that. But top to bottom, it's really tight. Fordham is 7-2, SLU and 2 other teams are 6-3. So we haven't seen a whole lot of separation in the standings yet. And I think you're absolutely right. Like when you look at the overall strength of the teams in this league, Richmond, by far the best team coming in, has kind of laid an egg in conference play so far. They've lost their last 3 games. They're 4-5, which makes no sense because they were beating like ranked teams in the non-conference. So it's going to be, I think, pretty tight. And if they can just keep winning 2 out of 3, they're in great shape.
What's coming up on tap for the Billikens?
Well, we already went over that.
Did we?
Let's go over.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Let's go over to I'm pretty smooth, Zach. To the softball diamond, where on Wednesday, the 26th, the women beat SIUE 9-5. They had a 5-run first inning, and the Cougs couldn't catch up from there. Scout Gallagher, our favorite name in all of SLU athletics, led SLU with 3 hits, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs. She also had the game's only home run, a 2-run blast in the 3rd. Anna Christ got her first win on the mound after pitching most of the 4th, 5th, and 6th innings. And Zach, then they had a 3-game series up at St. Joe's.
Yeah, this is a big series. St. Joe's is near the top of the standings. Billikens a rough start. And talking about rough starts, 3-2 loss at St. Joe's Saturday the 29th. Tied at 2 after 7. The Joeys walked it off with an RBI single to center field in the bottom of the 8th. Hockman went the distance in this one with the loss. Abby Ulsis went 3 for 4 with an RBI.
Yeah, Zach. And then they had in game 2 a nice 8-3 win. Scout Gallagher broke a 2-2 tie with a 3-run homer in the 5th, followed it up with a solo shot in the 7th. Isabel Royal went the distance for the win. Zach, the rubber match on Sunday, though, did SLU come out on top?
They did, and convincingly so, improving on their Saturday performance with an 8-1 win. They were tied after 2, and the Billikens rattled off 7 unanswered runs, starting with 4 in the 4th, and including a 2-run triple from Natalie Sullivan. Sullivan ended up 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs in this game. Abby Mello hit a 2-run blast in the 6th. She bunted home Ash Marietta 2 innings later. Life is about duality, Pete. Isabel Royal won again, allowing just 1 run in 5 innings. Anna Christ finished the game with 2 scoreless innings. The Billikens have improved to 15-18 on the season, 4-5 in A10 play. Despite the record, again, that's 2 A10 series in a row, especially after kind of a demoralizing sweep at Dayton, Pete.
Yeah, and you were right about St. Joe's too. I mean, they're 6-3. They're ahead of them in the standings, but they were tied at 5-1 with George Washington in first place heading into this series. So to go up to St. Joe's, to go to one of the first place teams, take a series from them on the road, I think that's a really big confidence booster. I think that's great. Heading into a Wednesday, they'll have another game against SIUE, this time over at their place, and then they'll host first place George Washington for a weekend series. So it's been a front-loaded, tough schedule for them. They'll play more of the bottom half teams as the season goes on. But that's a nice confidence boost, having to now play the team that's alone in first place, but at least they're at home.
I was going to say it's going to be great when I look up St. Joe's schedule and they played like the 2 worst teams in the conference. And of course they played Loyola and UMass.
Yeah, so both bottom half teams.
Yeah, Loyola's cooked. They're terrible at softball. Actually, no, they're better. What?
They're all right. They're middle of the pack. They're no
they were
bottom. I mean, those are all teams that have not won double digit.
They must have won big this weekend.
They've won 5 straight is what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
They were 4-24 and now they're 9-24. So
they got okay. So I wasn't mistaken. They had lost 5 in a row.
There's a big drop off after SLU in terms of season's record.
On the tennis side, the women lost 4-1 against Kansas City. Thursday, the 27th at Dwight Davis Tennis Center. You just cannot lose to your in-state rivals or in-state programs. You can't. That's the goal. That's the basic goal, I think. Emerson White won at number 1 singles, and Nicole Ferreira was up in the 4th spot, but went unfinished as the Bills lost 2, 3, and 5 after losing the doubles point. Prior to that match, Lizzie Barlow was honored in a senior day ceremony in what might have been the most unhappy looking father I've ever seen compared to the rest of the family. He just was not giving it in that picture. He was not doing it. SLU's 4-7 on the season. Next up will be April 8th against Missouri State. The men, not very good.
No, 7-0 loss at Illinois State on Saturday, the 29th. There's really not much to speak of here. A couple went to third sets, but that's about it. They're now 1-9 on the season. They've lost 7 straight, and they have to head out to Miamisburg, Ohio, just south of Dayton this weekend, where they'll face the host school Dayton on Friday and then Davidson on Saturday. So they'll cram in a couple of conference matches, but yeah, things are not looking good on the men's side of the tennis.
I have a theory.
Is it the same theory you've shared a few times about maybe?
No. Well, sort of. No,
Okay.
not really. My theory. First of all, I certainly 1000%, seeing that the meteorology department has been cut, expect men's and women's tennis to be cut at the end of the season. I can't see the hire, and it's all like the fact that they built a field hockey facility on campus. There are 2 sports above there's 2 sports above, or they're 1 sport above the minimum for NCAA Division I. It's 1-for-1 in scholarships. Everything adds up, right?
Yeah.
If I were to be a conspiracy theorist. But like my theory is that men's and women's tennis is a microcosm of why Billiken athletics should be like really, really good at women's athletics. Like, I think like there's a reason the men's tennis and women's tennis are different, right? And I don't think it has anything to do with like the tennis community as a whole in the NCAA. It's that like SLU is a very much a college that that excels in majors that women tend to be in more than men. Like, I just think it's such an easier sell to the better female athletes than it is a sell to the better men's athletes.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory. And I think that is what we see in a microcosm when it comes to tennis.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, I'll go with that. That's as good as any theory. I mean, I think the breakdown, the student population is over 60
It's
to
60.
40.
It's crazy. Yeah. We
Yeah,
talked about it a couple,
right.
you know,
So yeah, so I think I think there's something to be said for that. And there's also it's also not a surprise that our women's programs consistently perform really well
yeah.
Academically. You always see those like team GPAs, and sometimes they're like, oh wow, like their
Yeah.
average player had like a better GPA than me in college. Like
Yeah. All of
just their
them,
median player.
all
Yeah.
of them.
I am
Their worst academically had a better GPA than me in college.
Yeah, so I know like yeah, hey, it's us. It's not saying a lot, but it's still like it's impressive what they accomplish academically. So
Yes.
anyway, yeah, not a surprise. I like your theory.
Yeah.
I'm willing to go along with that for sure.
I mean, women have outperformed the men in tennis for years. It's the same sport. The
Yeah,
swimming and diving. Look at swimming and diving.
yeah.
Swimming's
Although
the same way. The women beat other. I mean, again, you could maybe throw in that it's the the level of swimming, comparatively. It's not like you look at like the women's basketball, right? Women's basketball is so top heavy. It is very haves and have nots. On the
sure.
women's side, on the non-rev sports, it's very much who was there first, right? So how long has SLU been going on? Like historically, SLU women have always been better, but I think it has more to do with just being an easier sell to top athletes
Yeah.
than top female athletes as opposed to top male athletes. So
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me.
since I went on my rant, I'll let you go ahead and give track and field. But I will say, just remind me, I've got a note on the next meet.
Okay. Yeah. So in track and field, SLU had a really good weekend. The Billiken Invitational and Speed and Power Festival. And then they also had the Wash U Distance Carnival. And between the two events, 4 school records fell. Sam Lamaze broke the school record in the 400 meters. He's having a sensational freshman year. Ran 47.68 in that. Griffin Kimbrell set a new program record in the pole vault at 4.55 meters. Journey Amundsen once again broke her own school record with a triple jump of 12.81 meters, which is also a facility record at SLU and a top 20 distance in the country this season. Over at Wash U, Emily Morden broke the school record in the 3,000 meter steeplechase with a time of 10:55:30. Zach, I gotta say, watching steeplechase, thinking
It's great.
3,000 meters of that, doing that for 11 minutes sounds terrible. It sounds so hard. I don't know. I have so much respect for anyone who can just do that because I would come over the first one of those belly flop in the water and just like get up and be like, I'm done. I'm done.
You're
I'm
just
never
built
doing this.
different.
I'm built that's in more ways than one. I am built different, but yeah, I don't know how anyone can do that event. It's insane to me.
Next up, the Billiken alumni meet will be Saturday the 5th. Hey, you know what I should do? I should run in the SLU meet steeplechase unattached, just as content.
I like that.
No, next up, Billiken alumni meet Saturday the 5th. And speaking of alumni, Scott Vicker will be Billiken track alumni. Scott Vicker will be bringing some of his athletes. I need to figure out where he actually is coaching. It's a JUCO in Iowa. It is no, those are let's see, it is Southwestern, which is a
Okay.
JUCO. I don't know. SWCC, Southwestern Community College, in Iowa.
In Iowa, you
Yeah,
said?
yeah. So he's coaching. He's bringing some athletes this coming weekend. So I might get out there and check out the meet. But Apparently hotels in the area are just impossible to find right now.
In St. Louis?
Not that anybody cares.
Is it Frozen 4?
Frozen 4 is next weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Yeah. Again, thanks everybody for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed it a little bit shorter than normal. If we're short next week, we'll do a little postmortem on maybe women's basketball.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, Zach.
We'll do something.
We'll have plenty to talk about in the next week, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're gonna keep as always. We keep it going year round as much as we can. But Pete, go Bills.
Go Bills.